there. And Tennessee was, 8-4? That's right in the wheelhouse. It could even be Auburn, to be honest with you. Auburn will be in the mix of those teams, the next six. You got your New Year's six, and then you got the next six. Well, it could happen that way. So you want to keep an eye out for that. So you have that chance to play. Now, for the season, I am now 38-40. 6 of you have beaten me this year. You guys lead everyone with a 40-38 record. Steve Moulton helped the Grizz to Greek, to a 35-43 record, 3 games back of me, while David Moulton became our 3rd guest picker of the year to beat me, going 4-2 last week. And the guests are now 30-37. Our guest picker this week is Mick Gillespie, who you hear every Saturday morning here on the original Bama Tailgate Show. It's a show that is heard statewide and also broadcast on a YouTube channel as well. I'm a weekly guest on that show. Plus, Mick is the voice of the Tennessee Smokies in the Southern League, the Cubs affiliate. He does Cubs games from spring training, and he is regarded as really one of the best minor league baseball play-by-play men in the game. So Beat the Big Dog is coming up in just a few minutes. Get ready to jump on for that. Now, also on the show today, we will be interrupted at the 1 o'clock hour. Not rudely interrupted on purpose at the 12 o'clock or the 1 o'clock hour. Nick Saban will be speaking at the SEC championship game press conference. At the bottom of the hour, Kirby Smart is speaking. We're not going to carry Kirby live because we're doing a Sports Talk radio show here. However, we are recording and monitoring that. And if there's anything of note that comes out of that, we'll try and get it in before the end of the show. If we don't, it'll be on later on. Of course, you'll hear it on the drive. But we will carry Nick Saban at 1 o'clock live. It fit into the opening of the show. We'll carry Nick Saban at 1 o'clock, and then later on in the 2, Steve Merril is back from WagerTalk TV, discuss all the action, beginning with tonight's game between Dallas and the Seahawks. It's a key game for both those teams, really. Dallas, at this point in time, remember, they still have, they have an opportunity to track down the Eagles, but it's not looking good right now. Dallas is looking at the number 2 seed right now in the NFC. We'll see what happens when the 49ers visit the Eagles this weekend. But Dallas first has to take care of business tonight, and they have both the offensive and defensive players of the month. Dak Prescott was named the offensive player of the month, and Darren Bland was named the defensive player of the month. 2 Cowboys. So there's that as well. Now, the phone lines are open, 256-5764-97.7. You can text the show at any time, 24/7 at 7329-TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469, which is a great way to communicate with us. My X feed, my personal X feed, is at Thom Abraham Show. The station's X feed is at 97.7 ESPN. You can watch the show there. Our YouTube channel is WZZN TV. There's a link to that from our Facebook page, which is 97.7 ESPN. Works out well that way, doesn't it? 977ESPN.com is our website, and they've got links to all of that stuff. Plus, they got the calendar. You can get the app. Put the app on your phone. You can get links to Zone 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. All our alternate streaming channels. It's tremendous. Now, we have been talking at great lengths this week about what would happen if Alabama wins on Saturday. Would they make the college football playoff? I am of the opinion that they would be in. I am. Call me an optimist, whatever. But I am of the opinion that it would be impossible to have the college football playoff without the SEC champion that went 12-1 and beat the number 1 team in the country. Obviously, the SEC champion is in. If it's Georgia, they'll be the number 1 seed. If it's not Georgia, then it's Alabama. One of those 2 teams is going to be the SEC champion, and those teams deserve to be in. They just do. I'm sorry. You call me an SEC honk all you want. It just doesn't make any sense otherwise. Now, I have often said that the SEC championship is really the only thing that is real because it's not subjective. You win your way into that deal. Everything after the SEC championship is just a beauty contest. You have to be selected to go any further. It's subjective. So can there be joy in simply winning the SEC championship? I mean, this was a poll question that I ran earlier in the week. It got a tremendous response. But in the end, only 31.5% of respondents would call a 12-1 SEC championship season a great season. 25.5% said that it was a failed season. I'm talking, listen to what I'm saying over here. I look into the camera. He knowingly looks into the camera. 12-1 SEC champion. You beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and 25% of the respondents of my poll said that that's a failed season. 42% said good year, and 35% said that would, or no, I'm sorry, 31% said it would be a great year. Man, I mean, what kind of joy can you get from that? I mean, what do those numbers look like on a loss in Atlanta? What if they lose in Atlanta? It's a terrible season? It's a train wreck? Wouldn't most fan bases call that a great year? Wouldn't most fan bases in the country say if you went 11-1 and lost in the conference championship game, that was a great season? What a great season. No, not the Alabama fans. I want to take a look at some of the bowl projections for the Tide as well, if they do not make the playoff, whether they win or not. Because a lot of people think that they'll win and not make the playoff. You know, and look, and a lot of people think they're going to be 11-2. They are a 6-point underdog. They're still a touchdown underdog to Georgia. Georgia's the chalk. If Alabama wins, it's an upset. They're a 6-point dog. I don't know the last time Alabama was a 6-point dog to anybody. We could check, or we could put the crack research team on it and see what was the line when Alabama beat Georgia in 2021 in the SEC championship game. What was the line in that game? And what was the line in the national championship game? Those are the only two times that I can remember Alabama would have been an underdog. And I always think it was like 3.5, 4, something like that at the most, 2.5. Former Auburn athletic director Alan Green is back in the SEC at Tennessee as the deputy AD. Look, dude was a great fundraiser. Just don't let him hire any football coaches. Just saying. And did you see that Sports Illustrated, which is a slow death magazine, named Deion Sanders as their Sportsman of the Year? What a joke. I mean, the Buffs didn't beat one team with a winning record. They were 1-8 in the Pac-12, and they finished the season losing 6 in a row. They're 65th in recruiting and had 2 commits bail on them this past week. All sizzle, no steak. All hat, no cattle. And it got old in a hurry. 11 million people watching Colorado and Colorado State in the middle of the night. Remember that? It got old in a hurry. But he's the Sportsman of the Year for Sports Illustrated. It's crazy. Crack research team says Alabama was a 6.5-point dog in 2021 when Alabama won the SEC championship. They were a 6.5-point dog. Wonder what they were a month later in the national championship. I bet they weren't still a 6.5-point dog. That might have changed a little bit. All right, he may not be the Sportsman of the Year, but over in that little glass room with the slanted ceiling, I'm going to nominate him for Producer of the Year.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Now, Tom,
Hey, Thom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Delicious, still hoodie weather, man. Still where it says hoodie. You got a hoodie on. I got a hoodie on. Mick Gillespie has a hoodie on. It's hoodie weather. That's all I know about this hoodie weather.
It actually feels really good outside right now.
It is,
yesterday afternoon and this morning were actually really nice out. It is still, yes, technically hoodie weather, but it definitely felt a lot warmer than it should for normal hoodie weather for sure. Because normally I'll have like my Carhartt jacket over this hoodie, or I'll have like some thicker jacket over this. Yeah,
it's not too bad right now. I'm thinking about maybe slipping into the barn sometime late this afternoon if I can get my work done. I might get out there and get into the barn. I was in the studio this morning at 6, so I've been going at it for a while, and I'm hopeful if I can get everything done that I need to get done, and maybe I can get an hour back out in the barn. I haven't been out there in a while. That's my happy place. That's my other happy place. I have 2 happy places. One I don't talk about on the air. It involves the Junkyard Babe. The other one is out in the barn. Out in the barn, happy place. Her dog, Junkyard Babe's dog, slipped into the office here, into the studio. It's like a ninja, this dog. I don't know how. We have a gate at the bottom of the stairs. I grabbed a cup of coffee. I came up to the Big Dog Production studio, and I walked into the studio, and her dog is looking up at me. I'm like, what the heck is this? Where did you come from? It's like a little ninja, this dog. So you hear something in the background, that's her. She's chewing on a Lipton iced tea bottle. No, I threw a bottle at her. I don't have any dog toys up here.
No, I don't even. I mean, half of my dog toys are either old baseballs or just like.
Ooh. That's a good idea.
Or she just takes like whatever like old toy, she just rips it to pieces, takes the squeaky out, and then usually it's just there. Usually it's just there. That's usually what she plays with. I gave her these
little tennis balls. I thought, oh, this is good. She loves playing with a ball, right? So I gave her these little tennis balls. In a half an hour, she has it all ripped apart and crap everywhere. I'm like,
she's got a couple of grease bones. Like she's spoiled for sure. But I bought her like a brand new like Nerf ball for dogs, and she hates it. So
I can't believe she's that Betty doesn't mess with the tree. There's Christmas trees, there's a Christmas tree here in the studio. There's a Christmas tree in the family room. There's a Christmas tree in the dining room.
She'd be in it. So
yeah, but I mean, she kind of gets into stuff anyway. And there's no rhyme or reason as to what she decides to chew up. But, with the Christmas tree, she's not even bothering with the Christmas tree. There's stuff hanging low there. I'm like, why isn't she getting into the Christmas tree? But in any event, you going to watch the game tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find your money line. I'm trying to find favorites for that game.
I don't care about the money line. I just want the line.
I think it was
line, the spread. It was 6.5.
I think it's 6.5. Hold on, I think I see it right here.
It was 6.5 for the.
Is this for the title game? No, this is SC championship.
Conference championship game.
Yeah, SEC.
But I don't know for the national championship game.
I keep finding SEC before I find national. Every time I type in the national title game from that game.
2021 national title game.
I keep finding the SEC title one. Yeah. No, this is a good Thursday night matchup. I mean, I don't understand why we don't have good Thursday night matchups like this more often, or at least give.
Well, we've had good matchups, but bad games.
Well, I just think
you had the Bengals and the Ravens, but when you have these teams playing,
give
with
them a
3
week.
days,
like give them a week though. Like give them initially that week, like the Cowboys got, because it's rigged and because they want the Cowboys to come back.
Well,
and
no,
the Seahawks.
The Seahawks played on Thursday too, so those are the 2 teams they match up for this Thursday night game. There is no reason why the computer that comes up with the schedule. There's no reason why you can't have a bye week before your Thursday game. You should have a bye week before your Thursday game. And now you got the Ravens. By the way, Steve Mulaton says that Georgia was a 2.5-point favorite. That's what I figured. It was 2.5, 3 in the national championship game. They were a 6.5-point favorite in the SEC championship game when Alabama stomped a mud hole in them. And then a month later, they hammered Alabama when they were a 2.5-point favorite. I don't understand why you can't have and the Ravens right now. Tell me this is fair, right? With all these teams in the AFC are struggling to get into the playoffs, the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC side, and the Ravens are playing 1 game in 22 days. How does the Ravens get a month off? They're playing one game in 22 days. The Baltimore Ravens.
It's rigged. It's set up for the Ravens.
It's rigged.
Very much
It's all
rigged.
rigged.
Very much rigged.
Text window regarding Deion Sanders as the sportsman of the year. Text window from 1 win to 4 wins, and you want to talk crap about as clueless as a hoghead deerman. Who's talking? Oh, Dearman. Is that what he's saying? Hey, don't take shots at my boy.
Don't take shots at Drew.
Hoghead Dearman. Hoghead?
Have you ever heard of
I've
Drew?
never heard that. I have never heard Drew called Hoghead before.
I mean, I could be right there with Drew though, and be like, huh? Like what? I get it. The draw that he brought and the popularity and everything like that, but he went 4-8. There were plenty of other coaches out there that
1-8 in their league.
Yeah,
in a bad league.
And the thing is, like, there were other coaches that are in their like first year, or their second year, or coaches that like were destined to do way worse, have better records than he does. I mean, Hugh Freeze with the roster he had, look what he was able to do. Did better than.
No, this isn't coach of the year. This is sportsman of the year. Think about that. Think about all of the athletes. Think about all of the different sports. Think about everybody who did anything during the last year, athletic-wise.
He sold sunglasses, okay?
And this guy is the sportsman of the year. I mean, you got to be kidding me. It doesn't make any sense. But
well, they eat it up. I mean, if you see the same articles, it's like SportsCenter, it's ESPN,
they love it.
It's all the same. It's the same like 4 articles that are all the same people.
Call
that
him
are just doing
media person of the year. Then, if you want to do that, hey, sportsman of the year, you might as well make Pat McAfee the sportsman of the year. All right, let me get to Philip in here. He's got to be fired up for tonight. Philip, welcome to the show. How are you?
How about Jim Harbaugh for Sportsman of the Year? Let me tell
Jim
you.
Harbaugh could be the
Cheater
sportsman of the year. He could be. Yeah. How about the guy who got? How about Stallions? Connor Stallions, the video guy. Make him the sportsman of the year if you just want a notorious guy.
The only thing stupider than y'all whining about the Cowboys getting a week between Thursday games.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they played the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and then went to Thanksgiving and kicked butt and had Dolly Parton, and Wolverine Danica his team was the same way and got the snot bubbles beat out of them.
So, do you think Dolly Parton's playing tonight? I mean, do you think she still hung around or anything? I mean, she's like a fine wine. I mean, maybe she hung around. Maybe she's going to be there for tonight too.
She might have. It's
Yeah, she
hard
might have.
not to love the Dallas Cowboys.
I wonder if Dolly's a Dallas fan.
For which there would not be an NFL without.
Mm.
You said it, dude. Who did people watch more on Thanksgiving than anything else?
41 million people.
Cowboys.
Yeah, it's half a Super Bowl crowd. 41 million.
Don't forget this. Don't forget this now. After we beat the snot bubbles out of the Seahawks tonight, we're going to get 10 days off before we beat the snot bubbles out of the freaking Eagles on next Sunday.
You're a big 49er fan, aren't you? You're a big 49er fan on Sunday.
Right now, yes. For the moment. Can we get to Wolverine Danica's call, who sucked so bad yesterday? He had nothing. He brought nothing to the table to explain how his team cheated. Nothing. He wants to talk about, I don't know, cardio or something, whatever. Wolverine Danica, I would beat your freaking ass in a bar fight. I guarantee it. I don't care how much cardio you do. I don't care how much weights you lift. I don't care dude, it doesn't matter. You said nothing about the topic of your college football team cheating.
Well, I think he said everybody cheats.
You
At one point in time,
anybody.
At one point in time, he said he said that everybody does it. That was his only explanation, which is not true. I mean, not at that level. You know, everybody's doing something. There's no doubt everybody's doing something probably out there. I mean, there's a little something on everybody, but this one's a big one.
You know, one of my worst regrets might be the fact that I created a gigantic jingle song revolving around Wolverine Danica. Because that is a good song. That's a good song. I don't even know if he's worthy of it, though.
Well, you think that's a good song. Wait, I got something coming up later on in the show if I get a chance. Because we did not properly welcome back Bobby Petrino to the SEC, to Arkansas. I know he was in the SEC with Texas A&M, but we didn't properly welcome him back to Arkansas, so we may have to get to that at some point in time today.
Is it welcome back? Is that what it is?
All right. Hang up your phone right now. Are you listening?
You said welcome back.
Are you listening on the app? You must be listening on the app, right?
Right now, I'm just listening to you on the phone. Then I'll listen on the app.
All right.
When I hang up, I'll listen on the app.
All right. Hang up and listen on the app. Hang up because I want to get this out there. You're going to love this. All right. Goodbye.
Wolverine Danica.
This is better than that. This is better than your Wolverine Danica song. Listen, Grizz, we need to properly welcome Bobby Petrino back to Arkansas.
Riding down the highway of girls on my bike, man, I never felt so alive. Screaming pig suey at the top of our lungs, man, I never had this much fun. But then she reached around and put her hand on my thigh. I was in heaven and I closed my eyes. Next thing I knew, I wound up in a ditch. Oh man, I should have never messed with this girl in the athletic department in the volleyball shorts. Girl in the athletic department in the volleyball shorts. My face is messed up, my Harley's in the shop, and I don't know if I'll keep my job. All because she reached around to my thigh. I was in heaven and I closed my eyes. Next thing I knew, I wound up in a ditch. Oh man, I should have never messed with this girl in the athletic department in the volleyball shorts. Beware of the girl in the volleyball shorts. She'll touch your wiener. Girl in the athletic department in the volleyball shorts.
I got nothing else to say. Mick Gillespie is next. Be caller number 2 right now. 256-576-4977. Caller number 2 plays Beat the Big Dog next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Watch the Alabama High School Super 7 Football Championship presented by Alabama Community College System December 6th through the 8th on Alabama Public Television. It's all the gut-wrenching, hard-hitting, high-flying action you've come to expect from... Wait, Alabama Public Television? Okay. Watch every game live December 6th through the 8th only on your new home for high school sports, APT.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Van Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate
evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Widespread rain as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. Allow yourself several extra minutes for the Friday morning commute. We are going to start the day slightly warmer. We're going to start the day in the mid-40s. We're going to climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s through Friday afternoon. But scattered showers are going to stay in the forecast. Don't expect much in the way of any sunshine as we close out the work and school week. Dropping into the mid-50s as we head into the overnight, early Saturday morning. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky on Saturday afternoon. Scattered showers are going to be possible, though temperatures hanging out in the mid-60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
New coordinators. That's as good as money, sir. New quarterback.
It's my quarterback.
Same coach.
All right, and you all may be taking the week off, all right, this week, but I'm not.
We are your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Kirby Smart at the podium now. We'll catch some of Kirby. We'll see if he says anything significant, and we'll get that to you. And then we'll have Saban live coming up at 1 o'clock. This segment of the show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, the service team at Woody Anderson Ford. Not only experts in the service of Ford and other makes, but they also use genuine Ford or Motorcraft parts on every Ford service job. From tire rotations to wheel alignments, brake jobs, oil changes, engine tune-ups, and tranny work. They do it at the service department and at Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center, and they have got your Ford and other makes covered. It's Woody Anderson Ford. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com, make your appointment, and shop the certified gold pre-owned vehicles there as well. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for Beat the Big Dog.
You know, there are rules to success, my friend. Rule number one is know what you know what you don't know, and know that I got to know everything you know since you know it.
So Tennessee Josh is going to be our contestant because he's thinking, you know what? I got a chance to win tickets to the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, and my Tennessee Vols might be there. You never know. Just don't be a lemon. I just don't
say this without sounding a little rude, but you're a lemon.
No, don't be a lemon. We don't want you to be a lemon. And to help Tennessee Josh out, our guest picker is the one and only Mick Gillespie. You hear him every Saturday morning all across the state, really, with the original Bama Tailgate Show. You can watch that thing on the YouTube as well. And he's the voice of the Tennessee Smokies. He's regarded as really one of the finest minor league baseball voices anywhere in the country. Mick Gillespie, my friend, and he will be your guest picker. Mick, how are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, man, and thanks for the introduction. It makes me feel good about myself.
Well, you're kind of a thing. I just want to say that. I don't know how big a thing, but you're kind of a thing. I mean, that's a thing, so that's good, no doubt about it. Tennessee Josh is going to be our contestant. Now, Tennessee Josh, are you thinking that maybe the Vols will be at the Music City Bowl, and that could be a good opportunity to go up there and see them?
Absolutely, and I'm only about an hour away from there, plus I'm from that area anyway.
Okay, whereabouts are you from up there?
I was born in Hendersonville.
Okay. All right. Where do you live now? Are you living in Tennessee still, or are you down in Alabama?
No, sir. I'm down here in Decatur, Alabama.
Okay. All right. So you shoot right up 65. So that's an easy run for you. You run right through my old town of College Grove and Spring Hill, where I lived, and when I worked in Nashville as well, and all of that area. So Franklin, I lived right in downtown Franklin for a little while as well. So that's all good stuff for sure. All right.
I love it up there. It's just too crowded.
Oh, it's gotten ridiculous. It's not. Let me tell you what. It's not the Nashville I went to in 2007. That's for sure. When I got out there in 2007, it was a city that had a feel of a town. Now, not so much anymore. When did you leave Hendersonville?
Well, I was born there. I grew up in Murfreesboro, but I left Tennessee and come down here about 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Did you listen to my show up there at all? I mean, I was on there until 2013. I was on from 2007 to 2013, something like that.
I mean, I remember listening to 104.5 up there a lot, but I don't recall listening to your show there. But I've definitely listened to it in Alabama.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was on 106.7, and then I was on 560 and 103.9 or something like that. I don't know what it was, but anyway. All right. Good stuff. So the way this works is I've got 6 games in front of me, 5 college games and 1 NFL game. And we're going to alternate picking. And, if you're picking first on a game, you'll hear Grizz's opinion. You'll hear Mick Gillespie's opinion. And then you'll make your pick and then my pick. And then we'll reverse the order on the next game. So do you want to go first on the first game or do you want to go first on the second game?
On the second.
All right. And, of course, we're using the lines because it would be too easy. We don't screw around here just picking a game. We pick it with the line. So we'll start with this first game. And I will go first, and then we'll get Grizz and Mick in there, and then you'll make your pick. All right, our first game is the Friday night game. Washington is getting 9.5 against Oregon in Vegas, and it's going to be packed. There'll be 20, 25,000 people there probably. It's the Pac-12 championship game and the final Pac-12 championship game, unless they have one next year between Oregon State and Washington State. Washington getting 9.5. I personally think Oregon's going to beat the brakes off them. I think Oregon's a far better team. I think Washington's been stumbling around for the last several weeks. I think they're a pretender. Oregon's been playing good. You like the kid Bo Nix, from here in Alabama, and I think that they put the stamp and finally get this Washington Husky thing out of our consciousness. Then we don't have to worry about Oregon. So I will take Oregon, and I will actually lay the 9.5 points. Grizz, what do you got?
I hope that Washington covers, but Oregon still wins, so they cancel each other out, and neither of them get to go.
All right, so who are you going to take? I'm
going to take Washington to cover, yeah.
All right, so he's going to take Washington to cover. All right, Mick, Washington gets 9.5 against Oregon in front of nobody in Vegas.
Yeah, getting no respect. Michael Penix Jr. has been so fantastic this year. 32 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. Bo Nix, though,
37 TDs and 2 INTs. You're talking about two of the best quarterbacks. I don't know how Washington only has a 24% chance of winning. Didn't we see this game already? I'm taking the 9.5. I don't know if Washington's going to beat Oregon, but it kind of reminds me of when Oregon took on Utah a couple of years ago in the rematch, and the same thing happened. They lost both games.
All right, so there you go, Tennessee Josh. What do you think? Washington gets 9.5 versus Oregon. Both those guys say Washington. I'm on Oregon. What do you got?
I'm on Oregon as well.
All right, so you got Oregon. All right, in the next game, you guys go first, and then I'll make my picks last. All right, Grizz, Oklahoma State, the Pokes are getting 15.5 against that SEC juggernaut, the Texas Longhorns. This game, of course, being played in Arlington. What do you got?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of points, and I think Texas will be kind of looking at that, trying to make the playoffs, and I think that it'll just be a little scary for them, and I think OSU will play a lot better in the championship game, kind of than they've kind of been up and down throughout the season. But, yeah, I feel like that's a lot of points. Give me OSU here.
All right, you got them, OSU. All right, Mick, what do you think? Oklahoma State getting 15.5 against Texas.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jonathan Brooks is out for Texas, and they've just been able to roll behind Quinn Ewers. But Oklahoma State is going to have the momentum of being their last game in this conference, and who knows what the officiating is going to look like in this one. If we learned anything from the Iron Bowl, it matters. I'm taking Oklahoma State and taking the points.
All right, what do you think, Josh? Oklahoma State getting 15.5 against Texas.
I agree with the gentleman before me just said, but Oklahoma State's lost 3 really bad games this year. It's a lot of points, but I'm going to take Texas.
All right. You're right about that. This Oklahoma State team is such an enigma. I mean, when they get beat, they get tromped, and they have been beaten by some not really great football teams, and then they turn around and they beat Oklahoma. 15.5 is a lot, man. I'm worried about backdoor cover here. I think Texas is clearly the better team, but I think Texas will be a little bit tight in this deal. They can't afford to lose, and they're going to play a little bit tight. I like the points. I think Texas can win this game by 10, and fairly comfortably, but that's not 15.5. I'm going to take Oklahoma State as well, and I'll take the 15.5 and hope for a big upset. All right, in the next game, I am going first here, and we're going in order of these games being played. So now it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and the Alabama Crimson Tide are getting 5.5 against Georgia. Man, everybody's talking about what happens if Alabama wins a game and they're 12-1 and everything else, and I think that's spurring on Georgia in a big way. Alabama was getting 6.5 2 years ago and went in there and hammered Georgia. Georgia that time got the chance to get revenge in a national championship game, which they did. I don't think they would get that opportunity this time. Georgia's a favorite that they deserve to be the favorite. I think that this game, though, is tight. Alabama plays everybody tight. 5.5 is too much. Bama is live to win this game outright, but if Georgia wins it, it could be a field goal. 5.5 is too much. I'll take the 5.5 points with the Tide. You don't usually get that, so I'm taking Bama here. What do you got, Grizz?
I'm going to have to agree with you. Yeah, I'm going to take Bama here in the SEC championship game. Hopefully we'll see what happens if it creates chaos. I want to take Bama in the points here.
Well, it will create chaos if that happens, that's for sure. All right, Mick, Alabama gets 5.5 in Atlanta.
Yeah, the star of this ball game is going to be Kevin Steele because he's going to be the first defensive coordinator to come up with a game plan to put Carson Beck on his backside. He hasn't been touched at all year. Alabama under Nick Saban, when they're an underdog, is the most dangerous team in college football. I mean, they're already the most dangerous team. I love the fact that they're an underdog. They've already won against Georgia in this game like 3 times. Make it 4, and I got Alabama winning on the money line.
The wrong team is favored, he says, Josh. What do you think? Alabama gets 5.5. You're going to make it a clean sweep.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree as well. Roll Tide.
All right, he rolls with the Tide. That's a good job by you.
Roll Tide.
There you go. All right, Grizz, we start with you on this one. ACC championship game. I don't know if people realize how tight this line is. Louisville coming off of getting beat by Kentucky. Grizz, what happened when Alabama played Kentucky? I don't know. I
Beat the
forgot.
brakes off.
That's what happened. So
beat them pretty
that
handily.
team-
So did Georgia.
So that team went to Louisville and beat Louisville at Louisville, yet Louisville is playing in the ACC championship game against Florida State, and they're only a 2.5-point dog, okay? That tells you something about the way the Vegas views the ACC. All right, Grizz, Louisville gets 2.5. That's it. Against Florida State in Charlotte, another half-empty stadium.
Talk about wrong team favorite here. Give me Louisville.
It would have felt a lot better if they had beaten Kentucky last week about that. All right, Mick, what do you think? Louisville gets 2.5 against Florida State. Louisville.
Yeah, look, man, Trey Benson's going to run over Louisville like Kentucky did last week. Even with the backup quarterback, it's Louisville. I mean, they're not good. I mean, they're okay, but Florida State's had this magical season. We're not lucky enough this year to have Louisville win this football game, so I think Florida State's going to win.
All right, so Florida State covers the 2.5 in that game. Louisville was number 10 last week when they got beat by Kentucky. They were considered a top 10 team in the country, and then they got beat by Kentucky. All right, Tennessee, Josh, what do you think? Louisville gets 2.5 against Florida State.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree as well. Louisville.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going the other way. I'm going to agree with Mick here. I think that they had that scare against the Gators last week. Got the kid in there with the start with Max Brown with his first start ever. He played well against Missouri, and they were able to pull it out against Florida last week. The 2.5 is not enough. I mean, you can sit here and hope for an upset for the sake of Alabama, but Florida State's going to win this game, and if they don't win it by a touchdown or more, I'd be shocked. I'll take FSU over Louisville there, and it doesn't mean that Louisville 13-0, and maybe I don't want to say worse. That sounds bad. Maybe the least impressive 13-0 team we've seen in a long, long time. I'm not sure. All right, a Big Ten championship game. They got to do this. They got to play anyway. Iowa's getting 21.5 against Michigan. The Big Ten, though, is a very deep conference. They got a lot of very good teams in there. So many good teams that in their championship game, the underdog is getting 21.5 points. I mean, who the hell are they playing? Central Michigan? I mean, is that what this is? I'm going to say this. Iowa plays really good defense, man. They're kind of freaky. They can't score a lick, but they only have to score like maybe once. And then Michigan, hold Michigan around 28 or so. 21.5 is a lot. Jim Harbaugh's back on the side. I'm vamping, if you haven't noticed, because I just don't like this pick. I'm going to take the points, man. I'm taking Iowa with the 21.5. Michigan wins. Looking forward to the playoff. If Michigan wins, they can win the game by 20, 15, 18, but they don't win it by more than 21.5. I'll take the points. Grizz, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they could play good enough defense that I think Michigan might have some problems throwing it a little bit, and that they like to run it, but I think that Iowa's defense will be able to kind of keep it within that point range.
All right, Mick, what do you think? Iowa gets 21.5.
Yeah, I'm so against you guys. I mean, I think this is the easiest money that we've seen in a long time. Iowa is like the over-under of them scoring a point in each half is like a half a point. Like this is the worst offensive football team that I've ever seen. The SEC's never had a team this bad make a conference championship game. They got beat by Penn State 33-0. They barely won all of these games that they won, and the same teams got destroyed because they're no good by Michigan. Michigan's going to have this line beat probably near the end of the first quarter. This is going to be an absolute drumming, and you can probably sit back, kick your feet up, because once it goes to 21, 24-point differential, Iowa has no way of scoring. They're going to be like a turtle on their back trying to move. So I honestly look at this game, and it really shows you how bad the Big Ten is, to think that Iowa, first off, won 10 games and that they're in a championship game. They're awful.
All right, Josh, he makes a compelling case there, does Mick Gillespie. What do you think, Josh? Iowa gets 21.5 against Michigan. Is it enough?
Like you said, that's a lot of points, but I'm going to have to agree with the gentleman before me. I think Michigan's on a roll. I'm going to take Michigan.
Listen, Michigan beat Maryland by 7. Is Iowa better than Maryland? I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, they have a terrible offense. They can't score against a stiff breeze. But Iowa, defensively, the reason those back numbers have been so low for Iowa, 29.5, the total in the last game, is because they keep everybody around 10 or 12 points. They don't score any points themselves. But all right, so we're on the opposite side of that one. All right, one NFL game here. This is a preview. Sorry, Philip. This may be a preview of the NFC Championship game. The 49ers are minus 2.5 at the Eagles. Grizz, what do you think?
Man, that's really close. The 49ers are favorite?
The 49ers are a 2.5-point favorite. It opened, by the way, the Eagles were a 1.5-point favorite, and now the Niners are a 2.5-point favorite.
You know what? Give me the Eagles to win here. Jake Elliott field goal.
So they covered a 2.5 with a field goal?
Yeah.
All right, Mick, what do you think? The 49ers are minus 2.5 at the Eagles.
Yeah, look, the Eagles are going to handle business. Hurts and Brown and Smitty and the gang are going to score some points. And I just don't think that Brock Purdy and Jason and Christian McCaffrey are going to be able to do enough to keep up. I think it'll be a fun game, but I'm taking the Eagles.
All right, Josh, what do you got? 49ers are a 2.5-point favorite. Remember, these teams played for the NFC Championship last year without Brock Purdy. They broke Brock Purdy early in the game.
I'm going the other way. I think the Eagles slip up in this game. So go Niners.
I can't get out of my head the 3-game losing streak that the Niners had. There's something wrong there. There's just something off a little bit there. And this is the best team that they're playing on their schedule right now is this Eagles team. The Eagles will figure out all you got to do is win this game. They're getting 2.5. They don't need it. Wrong team is favored. I'll take the Eagles. I'll take the 2.5 points, but the Eagles are going to win this game outright as far as I could tell. All right, so in summation, between Josh and I, we both like Oregon. I've got Oklahoma State. He's got Texas. We both got Bama. I got Florida State. He's got Louisville. I've got Iowa. He's got Michigan. I've got the Eagles. He's got San Francisco. So good luck with this, Josh. Stay tuned on Monday. See how you did.
All right, man. Have a good weekend. Love the show.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. That's Tennessee Josh. Mick Gillespie has been our picker. Mick, we're all in hoodies today. I know you and I were recording some stuff earlier. You got a hoodie. I got a hoodie. Grizz has got a hoodie. We're all decked out in hoodies. And it's this time of year, just a month after the baseball season. You start thinking about a nice warm night at the ballpark with the crack of the bat and some baseball. I'll be honest with you. I can't wait for February already for pitchers and catchers to report. I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting offseason. We'll see a lot once Shohei Ohtani ends up signing with a team, and that could happen in the next week, going into winter meetings in Nashville next week.
Yeah, and of course, the organization you work for, the Cubs, getting Greg Counsell over there to be their manager now. They were so close, but it didn't seem like David Ross was ever going to get them over the hump. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what goes on the north side now that they've got Craig Counsell in there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I liked Rossi as a player and a good guy, but Craig Counsell makes such a difference. When you're going to win a championship, you look at guys like Nick Saban and what they bring to the table. And when the Cubs got over the curse, it was Theo Epstein and Joe Madden. Craig Counsell feels like that type of move to me.
Yeah. That's a good point. Mick Gillespie has been our guest picker today. Mick, I appreciate you. We wish you the best of luck with this. Roll Tide, and we'll be talking again.
All right, roll Tide, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, thank you. It's Mick Gillespie. Again, Saturday morning is when you hear Mick with the original Bama Tailgate show, and it's a nice little 2-hour pregame to the pregame, if you will, and it's aired all over the state of Alabama. All right, let's get a break in here. When we come back, we'll set you up for hour number 2. Again, Nick Saban coming up top of the hour. We'll do that next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event. This is the time of year to give thanks for all the good things in our lives. And at Woody Anderson Ford, we give thanks that you're driving a Ford. Right now, we've got financing as low as 2.9% for up to 60 months on 2023 Explorer and Bronco Sport, plus $1,500 in bonus cash. Even our 2023 F-150 Crew Cab has $1,500 bonus cash and financing as low as 3.9%. And our lease rates are great too. 2023 Bronco Sport, $389 a month. 23 Explorer, $537 a month. And our 23 F-150 Crew Cab, just $449 a month, plus $3,000 in total trade assistance and red carpet lease cash. These are 36-month leases with $36.95 on Bronco Sport, $49.21 on Explorer, and $51.51 on F-150 due at signing. Zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. These offers end November 30th. Call 539-9441 for complete details. It's Woody Anderson Ford's Thanksgiving sales event, and we hope to see you soon.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on sale now with some of the biggest discounts they've had in a decade. For new and used boats, outboard, sales, financing, service, and parts, it's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Tom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
back. Tom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by our good friends at Valley Equipment Rental, where Ross Roberts and his team are standing by. They're standing by, like right now. They're standing by. They're ready. Well, you know, I don't know if it's Ross. He might be at lunch, but they're standing by right now to help you out with all your rental needs for all your equipment needs. It's Valley Equipment Rental. Now, this isn't a place where you rent a tent and some tables and chairs and a chafing dish, you know, for an event. This is a place where you rent a piece of equipment. I'm talking about a dozer or an excavator or a mini excavator or a skid steer or a lift or a compressor or a jackhammer or any of those kind of things. Like heavy-duty fans and all the equipment that you need to get the job done like a pro. If you are a pro, you want to think about Valley Equipment Rental as well. They will take care of you for sure. All right, coming up here in just a few minutes, we're monitoring right now. Kirby Smart just wrapped up. We're going to ask our boy Steve Moulton whether or not Kirby said anything about the availability of Brock Bowers. I got to believe that Brock Bowers is playing. I know he missed the Georgia Tech game, but it'd be interesting to see, you know, if he's back in there. He had come back off of the ankle injury, missed last week, if he'd be back in there. From what I understand, Ladd McConkey is not playing. I'm sure that Nick Saban might have an update on what's going on with Jace McClellan as well. So we'll get a break in here, and when we come back, should be Nick Saban, all right? And we'll hear what he has to say in anticipation of the SEC championship game on the Tom Abraham Show. Coming up later on in the hour, Steve Merril will be back from WagerTalk TV. This is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Georgia team for going through an undefeated season and winning the East. They certainly had a fantastic season, and they've proven to be one of the best football teams in the country. So this is certainly a challenge for us to be able to compete in the SEC championship game against such a quality team. You know, I'd like to thank the Southeastern Conference for making this one of the greatest venues in college football, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the people of Atlanta, all the people who do a lot of work to make this game a first-class event. You know, our team is trying to focus on what they need to do to go play the kind of game that we'll need to play to beat a very, very good team, probably the best team we played all year. I think the challenge for you as a player is you've got to be ready to play and assume that the guy you're playing against is the best player you played against all year. And I think if you take that approach and channel your energy and enthusiasm into execution on the field, that'll give you the best chance to be successful.
For media with questions, please utilize the hand raise function, and we will begin with Charlie Potter of Bama Online.
Yeah, hey, Coach. It looked like Caleb Downs played quite a bit of star in this past game. Just how has he handled learning and playing multiple roles, and maybe how has that helped the defense out?
Yeah, well, we started doing that in the Kentucky game, especially, you know, when they play bigger people. That's he's handled it very, very well. Gives a little bigger body at star, a guy that can play the runs and stuff a little better. So that was the thinking behind it, and that's why we did it. But it's not been an issue at all for him and his learning curve.
Next is Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News.
Hey, Nick. Jace McClellan, how has he progressed health-wise so far this week?
Yeah, he's not been able to do a lot. So, you know, we'll see how he does today, where he is. And I'd say that would have to say he's probably questionable for the game at this point. But, you know, I think it's probably too early to tell.
Our next question comes from Mike Rodak of 24/7 Sports.
What do you want the committee to see about your team as they watch you on Saturday?
Look, we're not really worried about the committee. I'm not concerned about any of those things. I mean, we've got a big challenge here in terms of trying to play the best football that we can play and prepare our team to play the best that they can play. I want our team to focus on the game because that's what we can control. We really can't control anything externally, but we can try to control how we play. And I think that's the most important thing for us to be focused on right now.
Next up is Tony Lopez of East Coast Gridiron.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Jermaine Burton has been playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, it seems. How important was it in the last 2 weeks to get him involved in the offense for having the 2 100-plus yard games?
Yeah, well, he's been a big part of the offense all year long, and he's played well all year long. I think, you say a guy gets involved, but you're really reading a play based on the coverage, and sometimes one guy gets the opportunity to make a big play, and sometimes it's somebody else. But when he's had his opportunities, he's certainly taken advantage of them. And, we're happy to see that. And I think that, he's an outstanding player, and we want him to go in and stay focused on what he needs to do his job well in this game. And he's been a great contributor to our offense, and he can make explosive plays, and hopefully we'll get some opportunities for him to do that in this game.
Next will be Oscar Clierga of Claro Sports.
Thanks so much. Hello from Mexico, Coach. It's a great pleasure to see you again. The question is simple. What is the most important thing in this week? The mental stuff or the physical stuff for your players? And could you say some words to all the Mexican fans, the Crimson Tide Mexican fans? Thanks so much. Gracias, Coach.
Yeah, well, we thank everybody who supports Crimson Tide in Mexico and any place else in the country or the world for that matter. So we appreciate your support. But I think both things are really, really important. I think at this time of the year, players get a little tired, they get a little banged up, they get a little hurt up. So the psychological part of being able to grind through that and have the mental toughness to stay focused and on the things that you need to do to play well, create the right habits in practice, prepare for the game like you need to is a challenge. But I think it's very, very important. And I think it's very important to take care of yourself physically, not only on the field, but getting the right kind of rest, eating right, hydrating correctly. All those things, contribute to how you can sustain performance in a game.
Next will be Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Coach, you were kind of on the front end of this portal transfer NIL a few years ago at spring meetings when you told us that this was the world we might be getting into. How challenging is it to manage the portal, NIL, recruiting, and roster management while you're preparing for a championship game? Is this model sustainable?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's sustainable or not, but look, I've always been in favor of the players having a better quality of life and sharing in some of the benefits. I think that, if we could create competitive balance, so it's the same, pretty much for everybody, so that one school can't choose to invest more than another and create a competitive imbalance. I think that's the major concern that I have. And I do think it's a tough management. We've been trying to focus on the game here. So we're going to look to manage all those things, when this game is over. But, it's not easy. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of balls in the air, and I'm sure players are thinking about a lot of things right now too. So probably tough for them to manage.
A reminder for questions, please utilize the hand raise function, and we'll continue now with Steve Moulton of ESPN 1400.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time. I wanted to ask what you said right after the Iron Bowl of the dangers of winning a game like that, albeit you didn't play your best. Just if you could further explain what you meant by that and maybe how the week of practice has gone as well, Coach.
Yeah, well, I think that, sometimes when you win and don't play like you'd like to have played, players aren't as interested in why do we have to make these corrections? Why is this so important? You have to have a certain maturity about you as a competitor to understand that there's lessons to be learned when you win as well as when you lose. when you lose, everybody's really like humiliated and really wants to go focus on all the things they need to do to play better because they don't feel good about themselves. So having the maturity to be able to manage and learn and build on the good things that you did, as well as still be able to learn the lessons that go with some of the mistakes that you made. I think that's the key to the drill. And I think our players have handled that, pretty well this week.
We've got time for additional questions. If you have a question for Coach Saban, please use the hand raise function, and we'll continue with Corey LeBounty of WNSP Radio.
Coach, you've been very vocal this season about the support that the fans have given you and the positive energy that they've given your players throughout the contest. What message do you have for your fans that will be attending the championship game on Saturday?
I don't think it changes much. As many fans as we can get there and as much enthusiasm as they can create to try to help us sustain energy, throughout the game is certainly much appreciated. But it's also, I think, beneficial to, the players being able to stay focused and engaged on what they need to do in the game.
We have a follow-up from Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Coach, I know we've all written the story about you and Kirby and the mentorship there. I guess I want to give you a chance. Could you share about some of your mentors that led you down this path to championships and greatness in college football?
Yeah, well, I don't know about all the compliments, but I appreciate them. But, I had some great mentors along the way. First of all, I had a great college coach in Don James who actually encouraged me and talked me into becoming a coach because it's not something I really wanted to do. And he was very well organized, and he really sort of looked at developing players not only on the field but off the field in terms of developing character that would help them be more successful in life, which is something we've always tried to do. Bill Belichick was a great mentor in terms of organization, football, from every part of the organization, how you evaluate players, the kind of players you want on your team, the kind of team you want to have, the kind of system you want to use. So George Perlis was a great mentor at Michigan State. It's the first opportunity I had to be a coordinator, first person to give me responsibility. And, he had been very successful with the Pittsburgh Steelers and, winning 4 Super Bowls there. So those 3 guys probably had the biggest impact on me. But I've had and learned so much from so many people. I hate to leave anybody out because I've never really invented anything in this game. Always just learned from other really good coaches and good teachers.
We have a follow-up from Steve Moulton as well.
Coach, where do you think your team has improved the most since Texas in particular, Coach?
I think the team has improved, dramatically in terms of transformation of confidence, playing together, good leadership. But if you had to say where did we improve the most, I would say it's probably offensively. The transformation of Jalen Milroe at quarterback to be productive has been huge in terms of elevating the confidence of the entire offensive team. The improvement in the offensive line has helped us be able to have a little better balance in the game. The receivers have all played better. So if there is a specific area, I would say that would be, but I think the team as a whole has also improved because of their confidence, playing with more confidence.
If there are any other questions, please use the raise hand function. Steve, go ahead.
Coach, I do have kind of one off-the-wall question. I asked Lane Kiffin the week of the Ole Miss-Georgia game about some Kirby stories, and he mentioned about a tug-of-war there at Alabama in which he beat Kirby in a one-on-one tug-of-war. I was wondering if you recall that as well, Coach.
I do not, but my money would have been on Kirby. if I was going to bet, I don't remember it, but that would be my comment.
Next, we'll go to Heather Dinich of ESPN.
Coach, I understand that you're not worried about what the committee's doing right now, but I'm sure that you've heard, and I think you talked about this on Pat's show, about the narrative of the possibility that the SEC could get left out, because if you win this game, that loss in Tuscaloosa to Texas did happen, and that's how the rankings have unfolded. I just wanted to ask you your reaction to that and your thoughts on the SEC's place in the playoff.
Well, I think I commented on it earlier, but to reiterate it, I think that the SEC is one of the best conferences in the country. I think Georgia is one of the best teams in the country, and I think that they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. I think if we beat them, we'd be one of the best 4 teams in the country, because teams do. There's a transformation that goes through the season. So how are you playing now? Where is your team now? How good are you now? I think all those things, come into play. But I think it would be a disrespect to the SEC if there is an SEC representation in the Final Four. I do believe that.
Next will be Kate Wyndham of Bama Central.
Coach, what have you seen from Jahad Campbell this season and the way that he stepped up when others have been injured, and just his ability to make big plays, it seems like?
Yeah, well, he makes a ton of plays. He's very athletic. He can run. He's fast. He's a good football player. It's a new position for him, so he's made consistent improvement throughout the season, understanding what he needs to do at his position to execute, his role in that particular call. So, but his production and performance has been really, really good for us, and we certainly needed him because we've had a lot of injuries at that position throughout the season.
We have an additional question from Corey LeBounty of WNSP Radio.
Coach Deontay Lawson being that alpha dog on your defense, talk about what he means to your defense this season and his growth and development as a player this year.
Yeah, he's played extremely well for us. He's played well all year long. But I think the one thing that he does is, he is kind of the leader. He is very smart. He's very intelligent. He understands the game plan. He prepares well for the game. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do and what everybody in the front seven is supposed to do. So I think when he's out there, everybody's more comfortable. Everybody's more confident because he's a signal caller. And he's very confident in making the right calls and getting everybody playing together in the front seven, which is really important.
If there are any final questions for Coach Saban, please use the raise hand function. All right, Coach, that's going to wrap you up for today. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to welcoming you back to Atlanta tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Nick Saban Press Conferences on 97.7 ESPN The Zone is brought to you by McCurry Van and Car Rental. Our locations in Athens and Huntsville can serve your driving needs. Whether you need a car for 2 days or a passenger van for 2 weeks, we've got you covered. Rent local, rent McCurry Van and Car. WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Gunner's Landing is one of the Tennessee Valley's finest golf experiences. Just 35 minutes from downtown Huntsville, Gunner's Landing's 18-hole championship jewel is open to the public 7 days a week. Located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Gunner's Landing offers you a golf experience like no other. With beautiful Lake Gunnersville views throughout the round, Gunner's Landing is golf the way nature intended. Gunner's Landing's club repair shop offers a full range of services, including re-gripping and adjusting the lofts and lies of your clubs, even putters. Since the work is done in-house, your clubs will be returned to you in a timely manner. Unmatched in the North Alabama area, it is Gunner's Landing. Schedule your tee time today at gunnerslanding.com. That's gunnerslanding.com.
Hi, this is Eli Gold. 28 Southeastern Conference football championships, 18 national championships. This is Alabama football, and your home for the Crimson Tide Sports Network is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The opinions of Thom Abraham are not necessarily the opinions of the radio station or anybody associated with the radio station or ownership. These are strictly his own opinions, and sometimes they're not even his opinions.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. Guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
I feel like I should be starting the second hour of the show. Even though we're almost halfway through the second hour of the show. Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. You heard the comments of Nick Saban there, and in the press conference, the telepress conference, if you will, for this week's SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia, and Alabama a 5.5-point dog or so in that game. All right, phone lines are open if you want to jump in. We have got Steve Merril coming up at the bottom of the hour or so, but if you want to jump in now, you can do it 256-576-4977. We go to the lines. Brandon is up next. Brandon, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, I'm taking a look here, and I'm seeing that one of your fellow Italians has stepped up and done well. Kurt Signetti of James Madison will be the next coach at Indiana.
Yeah, my son just sent me that in a text, and we have a connection to Curt Cignetti, not just because we're paisans, but we have a connection to him. Curt was the reason my son ended up on the Alabama staff. My son had met him at a coaching convention, and they got to talking, and he was kind of mentoring him. My kid was 19, 20 years old, something like that, a student at Alabama at the time. And, and they got to talking, and Curt said, I can get you in there as a student assistant coach. You work with me on my end of things, and so on. Anyway, so Cignetti, was involved there. The funny thing is that there are jobs that, right now there are jobs that are open all over the country, and there are 2 or 3 of them that guys that my son coached with or was on a staff with when he was a student assistant at either Alabama or Middle Tennessee are up for these jobs. And after 5 years in college and coaching at both Alabama and Tennessee and Middle Tennessee and making all these connections in the business, he tells me, I don't think I'm going into the coaching business. I want to go into the radio business like you. And I'm like, no, go into the coaching business. He goes, no, I want to go into the radio business. And he ended up going into the radio business, and he was very successful in that. But if he had stayed with the coaching, Manny Diaz wanted him to come to Mississippi State with him when Manny was the defensive coordinator there. And he had other opportunities. I told him, I said, look at all of these guys that were your buddies or your mentors that are all getting jobs. You could have your pick of where you'd want to coach right now, but it didn't work out that way. But, yeah, Coach Cignetti is a great, great guy, and I'm happy for him that he has gotten that Indiana job.
Yeah, I thought you had said something about him in the past, and that's what I was thinking. I think your son was connected to him. Now, is he paisan enough for you to share your special teams kickoff coverage with?
Yes, I would definitely give him. In fact, I had given it to my son, and he took it to the to the Alabama coaching office, and I'm sure it was stacked in there with a lot of other stuff that they got. But we didn't do a lot of real exotic stuff. My return game, my kickoff return stuff was pretty good. But there's not a lot of new stuff out there, Brandon. I'll be honest with you. Everybody's just ripping off each other, and then you try to tweak it a little bit to make it your own. But when you find something good, and you use it. There's not a lot of mystery out there. Every once in a while something comes along, like when Gus Malzahn first came in with the shock and awe and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, there's not a lot of new stuff under the sun.
I just wish I could go back to playing football the way they used to play and just say, look, you're playing football. If you get a head injury, you knew what you were in for. Hate it for you. We're not paying you zillions of dollars. It is what it is. I would love to go back to see the wedge-busting kickoffs when people actually return the ball. That was always exciting to watch. Yeah,
the loss of the kickoff return does kind of suck. I mean, it is something where, there were a lot of injuries that happened there, and they took the wedge out. You don't have to have wedge busters now because you can't have a wedge. You can't interlock. Guys used to interlock. You'd have two sets of 3 that would literally lock arms, and that would be, and that's how they would block. It was a wedge, and you do that. I never used it. Even all the way back in the 90s, I used either a counter return, or we counted the guys off. So we either had a sideline return and a counter return were the 2 main kickoff returns that I used. And but my counter return's illegal now. The counter return, because I looped a guy. I looped a guy from the backside of my second row, and I would start the entire return to the right. Let's say if it was counter left, start the whole return to the right, and then I would loop a guy from the back row all the way across, and he would kick out the gunner, number 1 or number 2, whoever the gunner was from the kickoff team, and that was an earhole block. I mean, they never saw it coming. It was we did it, and it was on film. But by the time those kids came running down the field, just about every time we got a great clean out block there, and that was the year we led the league. We led the country in kickoff return, 32 yards per return.
Well, what do you think about Mark Davis saying that depending on how the lawsuit works out with NFL, that he'd be open to hiring John Gruden back?
Yeah, Mark Davis loves John Gruden. Mark Davis' affection for John Gruden goes back years and years. He absolutely loves that guy. And if there's any way possible that Mark Davis could get John Gruden, and by the way, John Gruden's like in the witness protection program. We haven't heard a peep out of John Gruden in like 2 years. I mean, I have nothing, no commentary, no nothing. But yeah, that does not surprise me in the least that Mark Davis would do anything in his power to get John Gruden back.
Well, at this point, can the NFL really stop him from hiring him back?
Sure. Yeah. Well, they didn't really make them fire him either. I mean, it was just such a black eye, no pun intended, that they had to pull the trigger on him. So it's not like he's suspended or anything like that from the NFL. He's just, considered a pariah because of the things that he said in those emails.
Gotcha.
They didn't force Daniel Snyder to sell the team. It just got so bad he had to sell the team. You know what I mean? They didn't tell him, hey, you have to sell the team. It was the same type of thing, So these guys get themselves in such hot water that ultimately they're unhirable.
But didn't Dan Snyder make about triple what he paid for the team, though?
No, he made more than that. Way more than that.
That's what
I have to look. I'll have to look at it. At least 3 times. He made way more than that.
And then Cuban's going to sell the amount and keep all the operations. I mean, it must be a really good thing to be able to mostly sell off the team and then keep all the control of it. Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, those guys, the money that they make, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Regardless of what, and you got to remember too, they're profitable off of their TV money before they sell the first ticket or the first jersey or the first hat. They're already profitable. So,
well, and I don't know who ESPN 1400 is, but I know who 97.7 ESPN The Zone is. Roll Tide.
Appreciate you. I don't know who ESPN 1400 is either. Chris, do you know who ESPN 1400 is?
Is that the one in Demopolis area? Is that ESPN 1400?
I have no idea.
Like West Alabama?
Maybe.
I can't remember.
Why
I just know all of them because I listened to us so much, and then they would have, it was like iHeart or whatever it was at the time had like all different kinds, and so I would just listen to when it was different every hour.
How much did? I
think that's 1400.
Why did he mention them?
I guess because of the last guy, Tennessee Josh, saying you're listening to you in Nashville.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything about ESPN 1400 or anything like that.
Well, I know. I think that he was just, poking fun at those stations.
Yeah.
I know what ESPN. I've always known where ESPN 977 is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not just working here, but before that.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah. Dan Snyder paid $800 million for the Redskins in 1999. He sold them for $6.05 billion. So that would be a smooth 7 times.
Eesh.
Bought them for $800 million, sold them for 6.05 billion, which is the most of any pro team ever. That eclipses what the group that bought Chelsea. The Los Angeles Dodgers co-owner Todd Boehly, who bought Chelsea, the soccer team, for $5.3 billion. That was the most ever paid for a team, $5.3 billion. And he sold the Commanders for $6.05 billion. That's why I said earlier, when somebody was asking how much is the Cowboys worth. The Cowboys are worth over $8 billion.
Yeah, Mark Cuban
easily over $8 billion.
Mark Cuban bought the Mavs for $285 million in 2000, and now he's about to sell them for about over $3 billion.
$3 billion. Is he really getting $3 billion for them?
I think it's like 2. Let me see.
Yeah. Look up what
the
Jerry
sales
Jones.
Evaluation of $3.5 billion.
Yeah. Look up what Jerry Jones paid for the Cowboys. I'll talk to Grumpy. Grumpy, what's up?
Hey, not much, man. I listen to the show every day, and I don't call in every day. And I keep hearing you and other Alabama fans talking about the date that Alabama lost to Texas. It was sometime back in, September?
Second week of September, yeah. September 7th or 10th or something like that.
And there's insinuation that Texas would not beat Alabama if they played again.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't now. Because remember, Texas struggled. They struggled.
Now, listen, I realize that Alabama doesn't get their ass beat all the time, but that was an ass beating, man.
They got roughed up that game.
That was an ass whipping.
Yeah.
If it was a fight, it wouldn't have been a decision. Alabama would have tapped out.
Well, I don't know. It was a one-score game.
They didn't want it anymore. Texas scored. Listen, Texas scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. They were pulling away. Texas had over 450 yards against Alabama, over 350 yards passing, touchdowns for 44 yards, 49 yards, 40 yards. And when they got in the red zone, they still could. Even when Alabama's defense was condensed into the red zone, they still passed for a 7-yard touchdown. They ran for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
They held Alabama. They held Alabama in the red zone 3 times to field goals. Alabama was 5 of 14 on third down. 5 of 14 on third down.
Yeah, and somehow
had the ball the last 3 minutes of the game, taking knees, and Alabama couldn't stop them from getting first downs or running the clock out.
Yeah, and somehow
I don't understand how I don't understand how you think that you could beat Texas. Whipped your ass, and they would do it again.
Yeah, they did, and somehow it was still a 3-point game with 11 minutes to go in the game. I mean, it was a 3-point game with 11 minutes to go in the game with all of those things that you just detailed, that Texas was that dominant in that game. And the reality. All right, well, wait. Now you said. Let me finish. Here's my point. The reality is that Texas is virtually the same team now that they were then. They did not improve during the year. Well, okay. How did they get beat by Oklahoma then? They got beat by Oklahoma State. They got beat by South Alabama. How did Texas have to go to overtime to beat team after team, that TCU-type teams and these other teams that they only beat by a score? Their best game was that last one against Texas Tech. So while Alabama was out there beating people like Tennessee and LSU by 2 touchdowns,
and
Texas
Auburn
was
by 3, and Auburn by 3. You got to throw that in there.
Well, you got to throw that in only because. But what did we say all season long? Iron Bowl is different. There's nothing like the Iron Bowl. It's totally different. It doesn't matter, especially Iron Bowl at
hold on.
Auburn.
Who did you just say beat Texas?
Oklahoma.
Oh, is that not wrong? Is that not different? What's your point?
My point is that Oklahoma was a 4-loss team, and Alabama didn't end up losing.
It's a rivalry game. Auburn's a 4-loss team. So I don't see your point there. It's a moot point.
Well, how is it not a moot point? How come Texas didn't pull the game out though? Why didn't they do what they needed to do to pull the game out? Well, that's the difference there, is that they actually lost that game, and they lost it going away a little bit. But it's not only that game that I don't think. Look at Alabama. You're talking about Jalen Milroe's 3rd start ever against an experienced quarterback in Quinn Ewers. Alabama had completely turned over much more of their team.
Hadn't Milrose been playing football for 7 years? Why is there?
It was his 3rd start.
Few ball games.
It was his 3rd start. And look at him. You don't think Milroe's a lot? Is Merril a better player now than he was in the second week of the season? I mean, you're talking about him as a Heisman candidate now.
Yes, he is, but he has negligible improvement compared to the Texas quarterback Ewers. He's getting better too. If they played today, Ewers would pick Alabama apart even more than he did in using your logic, because he's got experience. He's got more experience too.
Yeah, no, but he also had a year of experience before as a starter. Whereas in this case, this was Milroe's 3rd start ever. Not only Milroe, you had a left tackle that was 18 years old that was playing in his 2nd game ever for Alabama.
So you're saying that Alabama's quarterback can get better as the year goes by, but Texas's can't? Is that what we're saying?
The amount of improvement of Quinn Ewers through the season is nowhere near the level of improvement from Jalen Milroe, because in your first year,
I disagree.
You have your most improvement in your first year. You come out, you're a deer in the headlights. By the end of your first year, you're a different animal. Whereas Quinn Ewers had been through an entire season already. So he was so once you get to, like, for example, let me give you another example. Milroe won't improve. Listen to me now. Milroe won't improve next year as much as he improved this year, right? Milroe next year, from game 1 to game 12 next year, is not going to improve as much as he improved this year, because you reach a certain point. They come off of the loss. Wait a minute. They come off of the loss to Oklahoma, right, which they lose 34-30 to Oklahoma. They come off of that loss. They go to Houston and win 31-24 against Houston, a not bowl team. They play Kansas State. They got to go to overtime at home. Overtime to beat Kansas State 33-30. Alabama's beating LSU by 2 touchdowns at that time. They play TCU the next week. They win 29-26 against TCU, a less than 500 team. So one after the other, 31-24, 33-30 in overtime, 29-26. Yes, Auburn pushed Alabama.
They pulled them out, Tom. But they
did.
pulled them out, just like Alabama pulled out the Auburn game. That was what you said.
Over and over and over, though. Alabama had one of those.
Let me
and it was Auburn.
Too. You said it was a 3-point game with 11 minutes to go or something like that.
And they lost by 10, yeah.
Texas scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. They were pulling away from Alabama, accelerating.
Well, Alabama scored in the fourth quarter, too.
What?
Alabama scored in the fourth quarter, too.
Yeah, they scored 8 points. They managed to score 8 points, you're right, in the fourth quarter.
They did.
But so what I'm saying is Milroe, he might have gotten a little bit better. Okay, I'll concede that point. I don't think he has, but we'll concede that point.
You don't think Milroe's gotten any better?
Alabama's defense was getting their ass whipped. What are you going to do?
They had a safety that was playing his second game ever. Caleb Downs, the safety, playing his second game ever against Texas. Caleb Downs now is an All-American candidate. Caleb Downs then was an 18-year-old kid playing his second game ever.
But he's part of the team, Tom. He's the best you got. And if he's an All-American, listen, man, I grew up in Alabama. All-Americans at Alabama would not be All-Americans at other schools. It just doesn't work that way. So if you want to tell me
that kid can play anywhere in the country. That kid, Caleb Downs, would start anywhere in the country, and he's a freshman.
I don't think he would start at Texas. I don't think he'd start at Texas.
He absolutely started Texas.
I don't
absolutely
think so.
He would start at Texas.
You had a guest on 2 days ago. It wasn't David Moulton. It was the other guy, and he was talking about how Alabama's got the best secondary they've had in a decade, and Texas absolutely picked you apart. Absolutely picked you apart.
In the second game of the season, they did. They did. It was a great game. Sometimes you have these games. Sometimes you have these games where look what Auburn did on the ground to Alabama, for example. Alabama had a great run defense all season long. They've had a great run defense, and Auburn went out there and ran the ball like they were Nebraska in 1995. So sometimes there are things that happen that just blow your mind, and you say, "What the heck's going on?"
Yeah, it's about matchups, and Texas matches up with Alabama very well. What I hear is a lot of Alabama fans saying we've gotten better as the year goes on, and I know Texas has played a lot of close ball games because everyone's out for Texas because Texas is on top right now. So Texas gets better as the year goes by too. Texas is a different team. If Alabama's a different team, Texas is a better team too.
If you've been listening this week, you've heard me multiple times say I don't understand why Texas is behind Washington and Oregon. I said, in fact, I've said in this show, I said Texas should be number 3 or number 4 at the worst.
Okay, I'll leave you with this. If Alabama and Texas both went out and only one of those two teams can go, is it Texas or Alabama?
If they go body of work, Alabama's loss is a lot less than Texas's loss, and Texas didn't beat the number 1 team in the country. So if you're and you're talking about the SEC. If Texas played Alabama's schedule,
I'm so tired of that. None of that should even matter.
How can it not matter? While they're playing Baylor in Houston, and BYU, and Kansas State, and TCU, and Iowa State, and Texas Tech. They're playing those kind of people while Alabama's playing Tennessee and LSU and Ole Miss and Auburn.
Well,
if Texas,
my point is it doesn't matter. It really shouldn't matter, and it doesn't in their voting.
So let's put JMU in it. Why don't we put JMU in the national thing? They won all their games. Actually, no, they got dumped. Let's put Tulane in there.
Should matter, but I don't think they should be saying, well, Alabama's Alabama, so we need to put them in.
I don't think they would be saying that. No. What we'd be saying is that the numbers say that Alabama, if they were to win, which is a big if Alabama were to beat Georgia, they would be 5-1 against top 30 teams in the country. They would have the number 1 most difficult schedule in the country and went 12-1 against it. Not Florida State's schedule, not Washington or Oregon's schedule, not even Texas's schedule. They had the number one most difficult schedule in the country and went 12-1. That's worth something, right? I mean, come on.
Okay, but
and they got beat by 10.
I just don't.
They got
see
beat
it,
by
man.
10 in one game. They got beat by 10.
The word that they use in the head-to-head competition is they'll disregard it if one team is unequivocally better than the team that they lost.
No, it's close. It's close. I also said I hope they both go.
Unequivocally, sorry, it means without any doubt.
Without doubt, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there is that case.
There's doubt.
No doubt. No doubt there's doubt. Oh, I agree with that. I agree. That's why nobody knows for sure what's going to happen, but a lot of people feel like it could go that. I have said over and over again, I think if Alabama were to beat Georgia and Texas were to beat Oklahoma State and beat them convincingly, I think that they should I hope they both go. I think they should both be in there, to be honest with you, because I think they're both better than Florida State. Florida State's the fraud here. I think that's the one that's the fraud here. I think they're both better than Florida State, and I think they're both better than Oregon or Washington.
Listen, man, I think the best thing for college football is for Alabama to beat Georgia and for the SEC to get totally left out.
You think that's good for college football?
Your numbers will be down this year, but they'll be up. But that's fertilizer for the other parts of the country to get involved. It's always about the next generation, the children coming, or the kids coming up watching TV.
No, you know what it's about? It's about the best conference in the country. It's about the best football in the country. That's what it's about. It's not just about let's let little Johnny in because, it'd be good to have other people get a chance and get a bite at the apple. Screw that. It's the best football in the country.
Saw that last year with TCU.
No.
That's the
It's
best.
about the money.
Yeah, let's have.
The money.
Right, let's have TCU getting their ass beat by 60 by Georgia. That's really good that's good for college football. Come on.
Having the West Coast tune in is what's good for college football. They don't even watch.
Not.
If Alabama's playing,
I don't care who watches
national
it.
championship. People in Oregon aren't watching.
Who cares?
In Northern California aren't watching.
I'm not doing it. This isn't a TV show. I'm not doing this for the people in the West. I want to make sure every corner of the country has a team in it. This is the best teams in the country.
Why do you think they expanded to 12 teams? This is about including regions and getting money and advertising in regions aren't watching. They're not watching Alabama, whether you believe it or not.
Why do you think all those teams, the top teams in the West Coast, all headed to the Big Ten? Because nobody out there cares. They don't care. And they're not going to watch it no matter who's in that thing. You look at their look at their own. Wait a minute.
They don't care. They don't
look at their. Okay.
Don't care.
Why don't they show up for their own Pac-12 championship game? You look at the stadium. They're not going to.
If they can have a bite at the apple, they will show up. Right now, they can't get a bite at the apple.
Let's see who shows up for. Oregon and Washington. It's a playoff game. The winner of the Oregon-Washington games most likely going to the college football playoff. That stadium is going to be half empty.
It'll take 3 to 4. It'll take 3 to 4 years to get a rally. Throw some fertilizer on the crops, get them on TV a few times. The 8th and 9th graders coming up into high school start tuning in.
You know what? I can care less.
For the sport.
It's
leaving,
not my.
Leaving the SEC out of it is the best thing that would happen to college football. It'll grow the sport. We'll agree
to disagree.
Those 18-year-olds aren't the ones buying the product that the advertisement and everything like that.
Well, it doesn't.
That's not for the 18-year-old that's watching it. Like it's not.
None of that matters. All right, we're getting into weeds.
Yeah.
None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that we get the best teams, and if it's the best, and if the SEC wins 17 of the next 20 national championship games like they have the last 20, so be it. So be it. But the NFL exploded when the Dallas Cowboys were winning championships. The NFL exploded while the New England Patriots won Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. They went to every other Super Bowl for 15 years. They went to 9 Super Bowls in 18 years. And the NFL exploded in popularity. Exploded in popularity. The biggest ratings you ever see in a World Series is when the Yankees are in there. They need Georgia. They need Alabama. They need the champion of the best conference in all of college football. They need it. They just do. Maybe USC will get straightened out. All right, we'll get a break. I don't know if we're going to see Merril in. Do you have Merril on now? Oh, you do? Oh, good. Beautiful. All right, let's get the break. We'll come back and finish with Steve. It's Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Thom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Did you know that average home equity is at an all-time high? But so is average consumer debt. Even though rates are higher now, you can use your equity to pay off your high consumer debt, student loans, etc., then refi when the rates drop. Don't put off that new home purchase. When rates drop, prices will go up. Buy now and get the best price and then refi when the rates drop. This is the time to talk to the experts at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com for more information.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. Good, healthy debate there with Grumpy. Sounds like you might have a little bit of a red ass still over the way down here, Bull Ended. I'm not sure. But one thing I tell you guys all the time, doesn't bother me. I'll debate anything. It does not bother me in the least, all right? I'm not one of these hosts that, like, if you don't agree with me, I hang up in. It doesn't bother me in the least. All right, what does bother me is I don't have as much time as I usually like to have with Steve Merril, but the Nick Saban deal took about 20 minutes out of the show, so we ended up not having as much time as we normally do. But he joins us with a couple of minutes here to talk about these conference championship games. From WagerTalk TV, it's Steve Merril. He's on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Steve, welcome in. How are you?
I would say the good news is we only have one SEC game we got to talk about this week.
And it's a doozy, too, man. You know, and everybody, all they're talking about is what to do with the 12-1 Alabama team, and Georgia's probably going to clean their clock and say, you know, look, here, hold my beer. You know, we'll see how that works out. But I don't know. I mean, Georgia's only beaten them once in 15 years. It's 5.5. A couple of years ago, it was 6.5. It's probably going to, you can find some 6.5s out there right now. But it's in that 5.5, 6.5 range. Alabama beat them by 20 or so last go around. What's your take on the way this one shapes up in a battle of styles?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, history looks like it's repeating itself, right? They were about a 6-point dog in that game a couple of years ago. What was it, 41-24, I think, maybe?
Yeah.
Was the final score there. And that game got well over the total. And that's actually how I want to approach this game. My database simulation has Georgia winning by 5.2 on average. So just over 5 points. The line's about 5.5 right now. Yes, Alabama as an underdog with Nick Saban is very tempting. But then again, do we really want to go in front of a team that's won, 29 straight games now? So I think the total actually has some value, over 54.5. You know, everyone talks about these good defensive teams, and we saw that last week. Michigan, Ohio State, it soars over once again for the third straight season in that matchup. And these are two capable offenses. And Alabama did start a little sluggish. You know, we all remember that South Florida game, the loss to Texas, the South Florida game in September. You know, they haven't gone under the total since September. Their last 7 games, they got 5-0-2, all overs or pushes. and they've only gone under twice all season in 12 games. It's actually a sneaky little good offensive team. They average 10 yards per pass. So even if they're down in the game, I think they have some backdoor cover, late touchdown potential. And Georgia's kind of, sleptwalk through the season, but they've turned it on when they've had to. And their offense has actually been really good in the big games. 51 points against undefeated Kentucky back in early October, 40-plus against Florida, 52 against Ole Miss a few weeks ago. And then they only scored 31 against Tech, Georgia Tech, only 30-some against Vandy. I think both offenses turn it up. Instead of trying to guess the side in this one, I like the over.
Speaking of the back door, Iowa has given us historically low over-under numbers all season long. It got as low as 29. It kept going under. Now you can get 22 points with them, and the over-under is only 35 and a half. Yet you get 22 points with them. I mean, is it worth the flyer with that Iowa defense? I know they can't score, but, is it worth a flyer to take 21, 22 points with Iowa?
Let's look at the Penn State game back in September. The one time that Iowa didn't play one of these weak Big Ten West teams, they stepped out of the division, played Penn State. They're only a 2-touchdown dog in that game, and they lose 31-0, and it wasn't even misleading. Iowa had 4 first downs, 20 rushing yards, 56 passing yards in that, and they get out first down 28-4, by the way, by Penn State. And we've all seen that Michigan's a better team than Penn State. You do wonder about a little bit of a flat spot after the Ohio State win. All Michigan has to do is basically win the game. They have nothing else to worry about. They're in the top 4. But the last couple of years, it's been the same situation. They beat Ohio State, and then they rout Iowa, and they rout Purdue. So if you're going to play it, you got to lay it. And Iowa has absolutely no backdoor cover potential. They're the epitome of no backdoor cover potential. They're a run-based offense. They throw for only about 5 yards a pass, 49% completions on the season, despite being 10-2. Really bad offensive team. And by the way, I think there is still value with the under 35. Last week was the lowest total in the history of college football, closed as low as 25. It stayed under 23 points. The Rutgers game 2 weeks earlier, 27.5, was the, at the time, lowest total ever, total 22-0. In fact, the last 7 games have all gone under. They've all had 34 points or less. So under 35 in Michigan be the only ways I'd play it.
Grizz, can we change our picks and beat the big dog? I hate my pick now and beat the big dog.
Look, this is why I'll wait till Steve goes, and then we do it next time. He goes first at the beginning of the show.
And then we'll have to. Steve makes way too much sense. You know what makes sense is Vegas, too. I always get a kick out of this when we see a game like this. So Oregon is like number 5, and they make Washington number 3. They're playing in a neutral site, and Oregon's like a 10-point favorite. I mean, Vegas knows. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the thing. We get caught up in the emotion and these committee members and everything else. And they're like, Washington's number 3 and Oregon's number 5. And Vegas is like, yeah, here, hold my beer. We'll go 10 in that game. And it's just crazy.
Exactly. And for that reason, Tom, I think the Washington Huskies are going to be the biggest public underdog this week in college football. And, it's always a red flag for me. I do my NFL Fade the Public video on, WagerTalk TV every weekend. Check that out this Saturday. But college underdogs, NFL underdogs, whenever you see a dog getting public sentiment, it's kind of an extra red flag because they usually play favorites, and they normally jump on board good teams catching points because it looks too good to be true. But this line might seem high. And a week ago, the look-ahead line, by the way, was 6.5, 7. So it is inflated. But my database simulation has Oregon winning by 11.5 on average. So I still don't think it's high enough. And if you just look at the common opponents, they've played 7 common opponents. And it's just the results have been just night and day. It's really incredible. And let's not forget, by the way, that Oregon put up 540 yards, outgained Washington by over 120 yards on the road earlier this year in that misleading 3-point loss. Washington State, they beat by 14. Washington beat them by 3 last week. 2 weeks ago, Washington wins by 2 against Oregon State. Last week, Oregon wins by 24. Utah, Oregon wins by 29. Washington wins by 7. Arizona State, a few weeks ago, they win by 36. Washington wins by 8. So, yeah, Oregon is the better team. They will be in the playoffs most likely, and Washington will not.
And Alabama and Texas are both better than both of those teams.
I agree.
That's my thought.
Yeah, look, this is going to fix itself. I mean, one of these teams, the win is in, the loss is out.
One of these years, it's not going to fix itself, and we're going to have.
Well, here's what happens, Tom.
2 or 3 teams on the outside.
Last year, TCU didn't deserve to be in, and I was adamant about that. And this year, what's going to come down to is the Florida State game. They have a 55% chance of winning as a 2.5-point favorite. They lose, they're out. But do they dare leave out an undefeated Florida State team with a backup quarterback who did not look good last week? That's going to be the real test, I think.
Yeah, that is the team that is most vulnerable for sure. All right, before I let you go, give us a quick thought about the NFC championship game rematch. This time, Brock Purdy healthy, at least until that Philadelphia pass rush gets to him. But I was stunned. That game opened. I think Philadelphia was like a 1.5 point favorite, and now San Francisco's a 2.5 point favorite. I don't understand why that flipped, but what do you think about the 49ers going in there getting a couple of points? Or given a couple of points.
Yeah, I think this once again is going to be a public dog. We'll see if it makes my video or not on Saturday. Check out WagerTalk.com for details. But I think the Eagles will be getting some public love. 10-1 team as a home dog looks too good to be true once again.
Kidding me.
But I think once again the odds makers are telling us that the 49ers are the better team.
Yeah, I think they are as well. Steve Merril has been our guest. He's going to be on WagerTalk TV when? Like in 3 minutes?
Yeah, maybe. I might be doing this college football show. I'm doing the NBA show in an hour. Just did the college basketball show. So check out WagerTalk TV on YouTube and my best bets at WagerTalk.com.
You know, the stupid in-season tournament thing that the NBA done. Here's my idea. Here's my idea for it. You want to do it? Fine, do it. Do it during the holidays. All 32 teams, single elimination, every other night, 32-16, 8-4 champion. Do it over a week and a half or whatever, right at Christmas time, right during the holidays. Do it between Christmas and New Year's, and that's it. Single elimination tournament. Forget about it, and let's move on, because this is a nut. This is crazy what they've been doing.
It's awful. I haven't liked it from the start. It's made no sense, and it still makes no sense even after it's happened.
Appreciate you as always, man. Great stuff.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Steve Merril. Am I lying, Grizz? Would you watch? No, I would watch that. Christmas to New Year's.
I'd watch it because it didn't make sense, because I was watching the Warriors and the Kings, and it was like the Warriors had to win by 15 or more to advance, and then they just like choked it away in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and then just let the Kings come back on them like that. And I was like, this is what I'm watching?
Single elimination, 32 teams, single elimination. And do it in a period of between Christmas and New Year's. That's all. That week that everybody has off, Christmas to New Year's, give me a single elimination tournament. Be done with it. Your stupid courts and your stupid uniforms, your stupid in-season tournament that nobody understands. All right, coming up next, it's the Paul Feinbaum Show, and then of course Wes and Steve on the drive. It's all here on 97.7 ESPN. The Zone. Go to Baumhauer's.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great